G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. This is episode 5. Today is Sunday, the 27th of January 2012. And I'm sorry, Sheep Creamery, I say 2012 because I say I was born in 1972. I don't say I was born in 1972. So that's just me, but as always, your mileage may vary and people have a right to say whatever they like and to call things whatever they like. So there you go. I wasn't planning on ranting on about that. Sorry about that. Anyway, it is 2:46 on Sunday afternoon. Some of you will be watching this in the past, which I think is pretty, it's bizarre. Anyway, I am your host, Fiona, also known as Fiffikins. I'm Fiffikins on most social networks. Glad you could join me today. This episode's going to be totally mixed up in that I'm probably going to flip things around quite a bit. Firstly, I have a pot of tea here that I've been brewing. This is the morning dew tea, which I'm now pouring. It is, you see, there we are. It's a green tea. And it is infused, excuse me, tea. Sorry, there you go. It is a soothing green tea to pull you out of your morning slumber. Well, I think on a Sunday you can get pulled out of your slumber at any time of the day. It's infused with sunflowers, chamomile, mallow, rose and calendula. And it smells beautiful. Oh, tea man, yay. Verdict? Good. Excellent. Thank you. Good. So it is by Adore Tea, the destination for tea lovers. So I've got a feeling, adoretea.com.au. Got a feeling I might be checking them out at some stage because this is really lovely, and I can also imagine it iced. I cold brew iced tea, usually by getting a big jug of cold water, getting a tea ball. I've got some large tea balls, putting the tea leaves in there, leaving the tea ball in there overnight in the fridge, pulling the tea ball out in the morning, topping up with ice water, fruit slices, herbs, whatever. So I think this would make a beautiful iced tea. It's actually been 2 weeks since I've had a cup of coffee, and I never set out to give up coffee. I don't think I've probably given up coffee. It's just something I haven't been after. I've always been a coffee snob. I don't drink instant coffee. I actually find it gives me headaches. So, something changed that I wasn't expecting that's just happened. So, you've seen uncaffeinated me for a couple of weeks now, and I seem to be coping. Drinking more water and drinking more tea. I love my tea. The week that was, I think I recorded on Monday last week because of our seminar on Sunday, and I was heading off to the post office. Well, the mail didn't arrive Monday. Fortunately, it got here Tuesday. Tuesday was also the day the rains arrived. There was a cyclone blowing in when I recorded. I think it had been officially declared, but no one really knew what was happening. There were some parts on the Western Cape. We're on the eastern side of the Cape. Western side of the Cape that were under cyclone watch. It just declared a warning soon after I recorded. Cyclone crossed over the coast around, I think it was around Pomperau. Was it Pomperau? Yeah, around Pomperau. Tuesday evening. There was some localised damage. It was only a Category 1. When I say only a Category 1, that still does damage. It knocked out communications. It knocked out mobile towers, and of course it knocked out electricity for a large area. And they're isolated communities, a lot of Indigenous communities, and the airstrips have been knocked out as well. They're saying that one of them, not sure, I think it might have been Kawanyama, might be their airstrip might be out of action until the end of the wet season, which is pretty scary because people from the communities use that to get in and out because the roads are all cut this time of year because of the wet season, because of the rains. So the rain started and we hadn't really had any wet yet. So it was actually really lovely to get some decent rain. We'd had a shower, decent downpour last Sunday evening, and Monday there was a couple of drizzly bits. Well, Tuesday afternoon the rain started and there were flood warnings put in place. We get quite a bit of localised flooding up here with our creeks and rivers, being on the coast. And then the tail end of the cyclone, it wasn't a cyclone by this stage, it was just a tropical low. We had some strong winds, mainly palm fronds coming down in the yard, and I hate the palm trees anyway because they're always dropping the fronds. The good thing about these winds is it's dropped some before they were probably ready to drop, so we can do a big clean up at some stage. Maybe tomorrow. We've got a long weekend this weekend for Australia Day. So Australia Day was yesterday, but the holiday is tomorrow. It's, yeah, hey, that's how the government decided to do it, so that's what's happened. So the rains came, the road was cut. So this is all going back to the mail. So the road was cut between Cairns and Townsville, which is our next town south, which is about 450k south. That was cut on Wednesday, I believe. I think it's reopened since then. However, the low's been travelling down south, and Brisbane, as I record, is currently copping some pretty rough weather. My really good friend Tess in Brisbane posted before on Facebook that a tree just came down in the street behind theirs. So it's pretty scary. Pretty scary to think that they're getting it. There were some mini tornadoes that ripped through some towns down the coast yesterday, but the road is cut, and that means our mail is cut. All of our parcels are cut. Our parcels travel by road. I have 2 parcels due out this week for swaps that I'm in, and I've already let the groups know that whilst I'm posting, they will probably be held up. It depends on how long the roads are going to be cut for. Sometimes Australia Post will put them on planes, but sometimes they won't as well. Trucks will be the first that will be allowed through, of course. Rail's being cut as well, so yeah. Part of it is living in an area that gets lots of rain this time of the year. We expect the highway to be cut once or twice during the wet season. This is our time this year. Fortunately, the highway to the north of us hasn't been cut yet. That causes major gridlock. It's the main road into town for people in the northern beaches, and if that gets cut, they have to go on the interior road, and there are 3 or 4 hour delays. It's quite a problem. But today it's beautiful and sunny, except it's hot. I think our expected high today was 36, which is pushing 100. And when you say that in Cairns, the humidity is already up there. So I think it's really sticky and it's hot. And I've got the fan trying to sort of blow on me. I don't think it's working that well in the background. But still, we persevere, and it gets to May when it cools down a bit and it's just staying. So, hey, it is what it is. I had Monday evening, I was invited along to an information session for a job that I'd applied for. It was a medical reception job, casual part-time. And the information session was really interesting. It talked about how they were trying to operate in a paperless office, meaning that there were no medical records kept on paper, it was all kept in the cloud. A lot of information about that, about their philosophy, and I really clicked with it. I thought it actually really sounded good. We had to fill out a questionnaire on the spot. I think that was to determine who'd written their application letters and who'd got their parents or children or significant others to write them for them. And I found that really good to do, even though I just scrolled on and on and on. I think it was appreciated in the end. I got a second interview for that on Wednesday and went along for that. The interview went okay. I think the person doing the interviews I wouldn't say wasn't used to doing interviews, but just wanted to know what questions I had, and yet all the questions had been answered. So it made it pretty challenging. They tried to get me to argue for what pay level I thought I should be at, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that in the interview situation, so I think that went against me. I got a phone call then on Thursday to say thank you very much, you've been unsuccessful. However, out of over 50 applicants, I was in the top 3, and they want to keep my resume on file, and if the person they have hired doesn't work out, in the next 3 months they'll give me a call. So, yeah. Haven't actually put in any job applications this week. However, yesterday in the paper, I think I've, on the website, that links to all the major papers that have job ads, I think yesterday I marked 5 or 6 to investigate. So I will do that. One of them involves travel. and something I would have to consider whether or not the pay, because it's fantastic pay and conditions, whether or not that would offset the disruption to the family. The kid's dad isn't the most reliable at times, and I don't know if it's fair on the kids to put them in a situation where they would be taking more responsibility than they necessarily would have to otherwise. I think that's, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I also found out yesterday from my mother that my aunt, who was my father's sister, her husband died on Tuesday, and it was, I suppose it was, for us it was unexpected. I don't keep in a lot of contact with my aunt because I've only met her a few times. I've stayed with her a few times, and it's been just lovely. And she came out for my wedding in 1992, which was fantastic. She and her husband. They've been married 41 years and never had children, never been able to have children. So I'm really feeling for my aunt at the moment, being alone. Yes, she's got friends, but there's no family to help. And that, to me at the moment, I think is really something that I'm reflecting on. She's in Jersey in the Channel Islands, and she's one of the people in my life who has influenced me with craft, with knitting. She is a fibre artist herself. She does the most amazing crochet, she does the most amazing knitting, she does cross stitch, she does all sorts of things. They don't have a television, so that's what she does. I'd like to think at some stage in the next 12-18 months I'd be able to visit her. I don't know how feasible that is. But I am planning on knitting her a shawl. I am doing a bit of an informal knit-along with a couple of other people, knitting a whippoorwill, which is something that's been in my queue for a while, and I'm going to knit it for her, and I'm going to post it over to her as something she can wear as a hug from me. So that's my plan. This is probably where we just switch things up this week and mix things up. So we're actually going to start with acquisitions. When I probably got the second last lot of parcels that came through on Tuesday. They weren't there on Monday, they were there on Tuesday. I received 2 shipments of things that I'd been waiting for. And I'm going to have to insert photos here, which you'll see as we go along. The first one was the Tea and Stripes Club from Yarn vs Zombies. I'd been hanging out for that. I think I was the last person in Australia to get it. There's still some people overseas that haven't got it yet, so I understand that. I'd seen spoiler photos and was blown away, but as soon as I saw the yarn and felt it, Kiki's been saying this week, or today on Plug, which is dyeing up the next lot, and she said it's her favourite colour yet, and I'm thinking, how can it get better than what it is at the moment? It's just amazing. So if you haven't got yours yet, look away. I have, go, just close your eyes just for a second. Here we are. Now that is probably a pretty good representation. This is solar dyed. It is, here we are, it is the Panda base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% bamboo. Now, when we get further on, I'll explain a bit more about this. You can see that they've got one section, which is the purpley bluey, actually looks more purple here, but sometimes it looks bluer. There's that solid section, then the natural section has splatters of dye all across it, which you can see there. It is just stunning, absolutely stunning. As soon as Kiki releases more of it in her shop, I'd be getting it. I think it just, it's the most drapey, beautiful yarn. When we get to finished objects, we'll get to that. The other yarn that arrived, I am going to insert a photo here, Yep, that is from Fibre Nymph Dye Works. It is the Sunshine Base in the Dappled colourway. Again, it's just gorgeous. Now, the reason I ordered that, this is now moving into works in progress. It sort of overlaps a bit. The reason I inserted the photo was basically as soon as it arrived, I caked it up. Here it is in a cake. It's actually got quite a bit more greener than that. It's showing up quite blue, I think, on the screen, but it is pretty green. And I'm using it for the KAL, for the Miltrans Designs group, and Miltrans, who is a Manzi on Ravelry. It's a knit along. I'm losing it now. It's a knit along with the Fibre Nymph Dye Works and the Miltrans Design groups for the Die Erste shop. Now, as soon as I saw this, I knew I would have to knit it. Here is my progress. Okay, so I have done the first bit, and I've done 3 parts of the lace section. And according to the weight of the ball, I've done about 20%. I suspect it was a heavy ball. I didn't weigh it before I started, which was silly. Now, I do have a picture here of the shawl. You can see, is me losing the, you can see the reflection of the balcony and the fan. That's not the best. Let's have another go. There we are. So that's the shawl, the Miltrans Design shawl. It's called Die Erste, which is an Afrikaans word. And every time Lisa tries to say it on her podcast, I say, yes, you're right. Keep saying it. It's okay. My Mimmel is from South Africa. His family is still there. We went over 3 years ago, and I met his family, and they're the most beautiful people. His mum is a beader. She loves beading. She also does a bit of knitting, but not a lot. And I'm knitting this for her. So my project is called Al Die Erste, which is all the first. Die Erste is the first in Afrikaans because it's Manzi's first shawl pattern. And this is all my first. So it's my first time using Fibre Nymph Dye Works, and it really is a gorgeous, beautiful yarn. It is my first time knitting something for my mother-in-law, and it's a tricontinental shawl for me. It's yarn that was dyed in America. It's being knit in Australia for a recipient in South Africa. So that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about that. It's a nice shawl. If you haven't knit a shawl before, especially a top-down shawl, I think it'd be a really, really good pattern to begin with. You begin with the stockinette section up here. It's in 3 sections there. You begin with that, and then go into the lace. The lace repeats are really easy to memorise. It's written out. There's no charts to read or anything. And then I think the joy of it will be in the blocking to really bring out the luxuriousness of it. One of the reasons I chose this yarn, there is a colourway you could order from Lisa at Fibre Nymph Dye Works. However, I knew that it wouldn't get here in time. This left the United States. The last tracking was in Chicago on the 10th of January, and it got to me on Tuesday, which was today, the 22nd. So 12 days from there. And that's probably pretty quick. I wasn't expecting this probably for another few days. So if I'd waited, it would have been shipped on Friday, and I wouldn't be getting it for another 2 or 3 weeks. And I really wanted to knit along. The other thing with this yarn is it reminded me of the Springbok colourways, the gold and the green. And I thought that was pretty appropriate. It's also colours that I knew my mother-in-law would like. So I hope to get that finished in the next few days with a lot of manic knitting, because I am casting on something else later in the week. Now, finished objects. I have 2 finished objects. I have the socks. I finished as I thought I would, minimal socks on Monday evening. Admittedly, it was late at night. I set up for a bit. The second sock I kind of stuffed up the kitchener, so I just patched it up as best I could. But on my ghetto sock blockers, I have 2 socks. Yay! These are the Simple Skype socks by Adrienne Koo. Great pattern, Malabrigo sock yarn in the Playa colourway. So my minerals are Playa is the name of my project. Second sock was knit like in 3.5 days. So if I'd actually realised I could do that, I would have had them done a lot sooner. It was Mill's birthday last October, end of October, the 23rd of October, and he got a hank of yarn, and I said, hey, I'm knitting you some socks. I did need to know his leg measurement and his foot length and later, but I wanted to make sure that they were going to fit. I knit the largest size, mainly because on 2.5mm needles, which I think it's a US 1.5, because this pattern calls for sport weight, and I was using, Malabrigo is actually classified as a light fingering in Ravelry. I'm not sure why, but I was using that. I love how the colours have come out. They really are a nice sock. My only thing is I haven't given them to him yet. I haven't told him he can have them, if you can, because I was waiting to show them to you. I don't have any sock blockers because it's difficult to get sock blockers here. You can get the Knit Pro, which I think are the Knit Picks ones, but they aren't the cheapest. To order wooden sock blockers, the postage ends up being quite a bit. I looked at the Swedish ones, the Swedish Scapoli ones that are advertised on some of the groups in Rav. I've looked at those ones and seen that they would ship, but they never have the right size the time I look. I went to, who did I go to? Was it Webb's or was it one of the other ones? One of the online places. I can't remember who it was now. And I looked at some and I thought, fantastic, they had the wire ones, and I went to order them and then found out the postage was going to cost more than they cost. So I understand that postage being expensive, and in the end I just Googled homemade sock blockers and they told me how to bend a coat hanger. That's what I've done. I don't block socks as such, it's really just to show them on here. So at some stage when I get a job, when I have some more money, I will do that. My other finished object is out of my Yarn vs Zombie yarn, which is why this was looking, oh sorry, look away if you haven't got it, why this was looking a bit squashed, because I've actually used up quite a bit. Now this was a really oversized ball I discovered at the end. I used 65 grams of it to make, you don't want to see it, got a warning, my hat. Now I wanted to make something that was drapey that I would be able to use, and I thought of doing a sockhead hat. That's one of the free patterns on Ravelry, but I didn't like the look of 3 or 4 inches of rib, and I thought, and I didn't really know what I wanted, so I kind of made something up. I used some elements from some other hat patterns I'd seen around and made it up. So I started off, I wanted a curled edge, so I knit I think it's probably 3/4 of an inch of stockinette. I changed to 1 by 1 rib and did that for, I think in the end I did it for 4 stripes, and that was the best way for me to do it. Then I just changed to stockinette in the round. Cast on 144 stitches. I will write it up if anyone wants it. And yeah, wanted a floppy oversized hat. Then at the end I wanted some rapid decreases, so I did a whole lot of rapid decreases and decreased a bit more than I wanted to, just to get a bit more white in there. I did think about putting a pom-pom on, but I thought it would probably then look a bit like a nightcap. I love it. I know it's hot here today, but oh, it's just gorgeous. You can see around there, I don't know how much you saw then, I just love it. It's perfect. It really is. It's lightweight, it's soft, it's floppy. I did change needle sizes. I don't think I mentioned that, did I, from ribbing into the rest of the body. Probably wouldn't be the warmest hat if I wanted it, but I don't need a warm hat up here. And even visiting south in winter, I wouldn't need a warm hat. Being oversized and floppy a bit shouldn't give you that much hat hair. And I really wanted to show off the yarn, and I think I've done that. So really pleased with this. As I say, it used up 65 grams, which is probably almost 2 socks worth. And I still weighed that. I meant to weigh this last night, I didn't. But when I weighed it before I started the decreases, I think it said I had 45 grams left. And I don't think I would have used that much. So I think I probably had 105, 110 gram ball. Not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of it. Probably got enough to do another hat, but not as slouchy, not as long. Although it does also, would be lovely, and it's so soft, it'd be perfect for baby wear. And I do have a friend having a baby, and I think I might knit up a couple of a hat and some matching socks for the baby. I think that might be something I do with that. So they're my finished objects. I don't think I'm a monogamous knitter. When I say that, I like having lots of things on the needles, but I find that once I get going on something, I tend to be fairly monogamous with that. I'm not usually someone who'll pick something up and knit on something for an hour or so and then put it down and knit on something else. I like going along with that. So I do hope to finish my Diesta this week because Thursday, sometime, 1st of February, which is coming up soon, we'll be casting on the Whippoorwill, which is going to my aunt. The other thing is that I wanted to mention is the virtual knit night. Now, because of all the rain, our internet went crazy. We have ADSL, which is linked to the phone lines. Phone lines are underground, and I suspect they got water in them. Well, they got water in the exchange. Our internet was so choppy it kept dropping out. We tried to have a VKN, or a virtual knit night, on Wednesday evening my time. I was there for a little bit, and then it just kept dropping out, and it was just useless. So apologies from me. I understand there were some people who had a great chat, which is fantastic. The other thing I'm really excited about is the Skein Yarns group is also starting up doing some virtual knit nights. So it's good for the Aussie knit scene, which I'm really pleased with. I'm going to stick with Wednesday evenings. They seem to work for me. Wednesday evenings, 7:30. Now, virtual knit night, I didn't explain it last week. I didn't even explain what a VKN was, which was really remiss of me, so I do apologise. A virtual knit night is where you can get together online via video and sit together and knit with other people who won't be in the same room as you physically, but they will be online at the same time. People can be knitting, people can be spinning, people can be doing whatever they like. So I found that I was in one on Friday morning my time, which was great. Had a fantastic time. So Wednesday evening. I know it's too early for the USA people, which I do apologise for. Hey, if you wake up early and want to join in, hopefully we'll be there for quite a while. The European people, if they're not working, it's probably an okay time for them. It should be around midday, I think, lunchtime. 7:30 my time, which is 8:30 Southern Daylight Saving Time here in Australia. The thing to do is to go to Google+. Now, if you have a Google account, you automatically have a Google Plus account. You may need to activate that. So when you go to google.com.au, it will, if you're logged in, it will say welcome Fiona, it says to me along the top there. I have 2 Google Plus accounts. Now, the reason behind this is for some reason I've ended up with 2 Google accounts. And I think the main reason is when I reverted my surname from my married name to my maiden name, I didn't actually want my old name on my Gmail account and I couldn't change it. So I had to then go and get another one. However, that one I had linked to my fiona@fifakins.com email address, and whatever, it's just been a huge nightmare. So you'll find 2 Fiona Hendersons. I don't usually look at my other Google Plus account. It has a photo of me. It's on Skyrail, so I'm in a gondola coming down the Skyrail. You probably can't tell, in the rainforest. the one I use has the one of me with the red hat. So find me on Google+. Usually you can do that by my email address, which is fiona.ann@gmail.com. I think I put that in the group under the thing there for Aussie VKN. I will send out invites to all people on my knitting group and my knitters list, which I'm going to have to divide, I think, because invites went out to all people there, which included everyone in America. So I'm sorry if you got an invite and it was the middle of the night. I'm not sure what I'll do. Give me feedback. Tell me what you want. So we'll do that. So once you get the invite, it will send you to the room. The other option is I will copy the link, and if I can, and put that in the group, and probably on Plurk as well. So it would be great if you could come and join us. I'm hoping that our internet is more stable this week. It should be. The weather doesn't look like we're going to have copious amounts of rain again. So I'm hoping that we can get together and have a good old yarn, which is just lots of fun. It's good to meet new people, and it's good to see what they're doing, to get ideas from people as well. I don't have a lot of notes today. Usually I've got 3 or 4 pages, and today I've got 1 page, which I just scrolled down before. I don't think I have that much else. I'm not expecting any more yarn at the moment. However, I'm expecting, I suppose, a couple of swap packages, so I'm not sure how they're going to go at getting through, with the mail being the way it is. For those people who follow Mel from MSK Knits, she's released a pattern for a sweater knit along in February. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it myself, because it calls for worsted weight yarn, and I don't have any sweater quantities in worsted weight apart from cotton and bamboo, which I don't know would be appropriate for the pattern Mel's got. I don't know if I would have a lot of use for a worsted weight yarn sweater up here. That being said, I could get some yarn and do it for Imogen, who's off to Japan in April. However, that involves getting yarn, and I'm not working, so there's a little bit of an issue there. I might look at some of the stuff I've got in my stash. Might do a bit of a destash this week. I don't know. I did a destash last year, and stuff that didn't sell in a few days, I kind of slowly started putting it back in my stash, thinking, no, I can use this. No, I like that one, I like that one, I know what I'll do with that. So we'll see. Not sure what's going to happen there, as I was saying. I think that's about it. I hope I'll have some more things to show you next week. My sock needles are empty, so I do have a pair of socks I started during Sock the Boat. Never got anywhere. I stuffed up. I was doing monkey socks, which involved purling on magic loop, and I just kept mucking up the first stitch of every bit, and it looks really odd after the first repeat, so I was just going to rip that back and do no purl monkeys, because I think that's probably what I can do. So I might do them. I might get back onto those and get those going, because they really are some gorgeous yarn. Or else I might also just cast on some more stripy socks, because I just find my hat, I don't know if I told you about my hat, I called it the Zen hat, and I think because it got me in my Zen space. It's probably the most I've ever knit in a week. I'd put a knit meter on my Ravelry profile, and I think I've knit more in the last 27 days than I have in the last 6 months. It's probably the last 3 months. So I know a lot of it is because I'm not working and I can knit during the day, and I love it. But I'm also finding that perhaps my speed's catching up a bit. I've never been the fastest knitter. My concentration as well. I'm finding the knitting is great for practicing mindfulness, which is something Mimel tells me about quite a bit. It's not like he psychoanalyses me or anything, nothing like that. But does offer some suggestions at times, and one of the things is practicing mindfulness and being in the present, which I suppose tries to help me with my anxiety and depression that I'm prone to have creep up on me from time to time. And knitting helps me with that, because I do that, and I find that stockinette in the round, I just adore it. I love it. probably my favourite thing to do. So just get in my space and just keep going and going and going and going and going. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Apart from that, I think that's all. My cup's almost empty, so I'm going to go and put some more water in my teapot because this is a really, really nice brew. I'll put it in the show notes, and I will see you all next week. Okay, cheers, hooroo.